everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to do a get ready with me, and I'm also going to be doing another beauty tag. Yes, another one. I was tagged by Dub's Beauty Diary, and this is a project pan questionnaire tag, and basically it is, I think, 10 or 9 questions about project panning, and I feel, yeah, sure, you know, I'll do it. Why not? I'll add it to my sort of beauty tag playlist, and obviously if you haven't seen any of those, you can go watch them. But I have been starting to do different tags once or twice a month, most likely just once a month, but I've done two this month, which is abnormal. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun. I need to do my makeup anyway, so let's just do my makeup. Let's talk about project panning and all the good stuff. So yeah, let's get into it. So I'm actually going to go in with this L'Occitane. I have a little mini here. This is the Immortelle Precious Cream. I'm using it just to moisturize my skin. It's been a few hours to wash my face this morning, so I just want to make sure my skin is nice and creamy, and then I'll probably go in with some sort of illuminating primer. So anyway, what the first question is, why did you start project panning? So I think I've answered this before on my channel. I think I did a get ready with me earlier this year, or maybe it was last year, I'm not entirely sure, and this was one of the questions. So I back in the old school of YouTube, I did watch a lot of beauty channels and like tutorials and stuff, but I never did any project panning or anything like that. And YouTube was always something that I went to sometimes and everything, but really, I don't know, I think from 2018 onwards, I got into the habit of watching YouTube like every night. Like when I go to bed, I just watch YouTube. And I honestly would watch more lifestyle channels than anything. And leading up to like when I got pregnant in 2019, I watched a lot of family channels or channels about pregnancy. You know the drill. I just like got so like sucked into it. And going into this Prep and Perfect from Primark, so I just got like really involved in those types of channels, and it wasn't until after I had my son in 2020 that I stumbled upon, and I know who it was, Sarah Rose. I stumbled upon one of her project pan videos, and I was like, what is this? You know, because I'd seen makeup tutorials still, and I'd watched, you know, the usual suspects around that time, which are all very controversial figures, I would say at this point. But I watched them occasionally, you know, just to see what they were talking about, blah, blah, blah. But I never really like got into the hype. But anyway, I don't know which, obviously, project pan video it is. I could just have to look at her channel. But it was Sarah Rose. It was one of her project pan updates. And I was like, wait, what? What is she talking about? So I watched the video, and then I went and watched her playlist. Like, I went back and watched from the beginning all of her updates. And I was like, whoa, this is fascinating. People, like, talk about finishing their makeup or their beauty items. Wow. And then I stumbled upon Steph Lyons. You know, I got into, like, more of, like, what else can I watch? And then, like, pan those eyeshadows and all of that in between. And I just kept thinking, I could do this. I was thinking, I've got some makeup, I've got loads of skincare, I've got loads of body care and hair care that I just don't do anything with. I could totally start doing this. This seems more achievable than the big, huge, you know, I don't know, influencers or lifestyle vloggers on YouTube that had 100,000 followers, over 1 million followers, etc. You know, I also started watching Smoky Glow, which sadly she doesn't really post anymore, and I know she went through quite an ordeal in her personal life the last like year or so. But at the time that I found her, she was just hitting 100K, which is interesting. So it was like right when she was blowing up. And I just thought, you know, I got really more involved in beauty. But when it comes down to like project panning, it was really just Sarah Rose and Steph Lyons who like convinced me that I could do it too. So I did my first video, which is atrocious. It's still on my channel if you want to watch it, but it's honestly atrocious. I filmed it portrait as well, and I just didn't know how to flip I don't know, I didn't even think about flipping my camera. This is all wonky. So yeah, that's when I started. So yeah, my first video here on YouTube was a project planning video. So my whole channel has been like more to do with project planning. However, obviously I dabbled in other things, and I always thought as well, if I was going to do a YouTube channel, it would be more like, oh gosh, what's her name? Carrie Dayton. There, that's her name, which I still watch, but she does more like fashion vlogs and thrifting and all that, and I like, that was another genre that I watched all the time. Not really so much anymore, because I just can't figure out a fashion style for me. I mean, look what I'm wearing today, like a Mickey Mouse t-shirt. Like I have no fashion sense at the moment. I just don't know. I have the same clothes I've had for several years now, and when I do buy something new, it's just never becomes like something that I love. So, but I used to watch those type of videos, and I always thought, well, I always thought that if I was going to create a channel, it would be a channel like that, like Carrie Dayton, because I watched her for several years before I even thought about doing my channel, but I didn't. And I know I dabbled in a few like hauls and like fashion hauls and stuff on my channel, but I don't know. I think personally, I don't really like to show my body on camera. I'm not as confident as some other people, and I don't know, I just don't like, I feel like that's more about exposing myself in a way that I don't feel like I want to, and also I just don't have as much interest in fashion as I used to, or like those type of things. I still watch them because I think they're a lot of fun, but I do think that consumerism has changed over so slightly, and honestly, I wouldn't even know where to start with that. But yeah, project planning was always something that I wanted to do, and it was the first thing that I did on my channel. So yeah, that was a really long answer. Okay, so what's the most rewarding part of project planning? That's the second question. So obviously it is finishing an item or hitting pan. Like, that is like feeling like you have spent your time on an item that you've bought, so you've got your money's worth. I think that is the most rewarding. Just feeling like, I don't know, you've actually seen a difference in something that you've been working on for several weeks or months. I can't really explain it. There must be something in our brains where we get like the joy of hitting pan and the joy of finishing an item. When you really think about it and you're not in the project planning world, it is kind of an odd thing to talk about. And I have she doesn't work with me anymore, but she always likes my Instagram posts. She always thinks it's so funny when I talk about hitting pan on makeup and stuff. She's like, I don't really understand it, but I'm so excited for you when you're so excited. And that's the thing, like, if you don't get it, you don't get it. And I don't know why I get it and a bunch of us get it. I don't know why it excites us as opposed to everybody. I don't know. There must be some psychological thing there, but definitely the most rewarding thing is just feeling like you've accomplished something, you've got your money's worth, you've hitting pan, you're actually using the item. Because I think a lot, like, the reason that I kind of wanted to do it, let alone like thinking, oh, this was like, would be a fun thing to do in a project and a hobby, but you know, I had so many items, and I still do, just sitting around in my collection, whether it's makeup, body care, skincare, hair care. I did do a lot of subscription boxes back in the day, when even like before I started my channel, and I would just hoard all those things. There's a thing about hoarding. Maybe that's what it is, like, because we're like technically hoarders of certain items, or collecting certain items. You know, when we finish an item, hit pan on an item, see some progress on an item, maybe it feels like we're not wasting it, or it wasn't a waste of money, or I don't know, something along those realms. There must be something, some explanation, but I'm not a psychologist or whatever, so I don't know, but there must be something that triggers endorphins, right? There must be. All right, so what is the most challenging part of project planning? I would say staying motivated. I don't think for me it's all that challenging keeping track. When I first started, it was. So when I first started project planning, I wouldn't write anything down of what I was working on, which was a big mistake. So when it came to my monthly update, I would forget and not be bothered to go into my previous video, I would forget what I was supposed to be project panning. And I didn't really have like I didn't have an organized system. And I remember saying in multiple videos, you know, oh, I forgot to talk about this last month because I forgot I was trying to project pan it and things like that, you know? And that still happens, but at least now I use a, this is just a silly little notebook that I had, and I decided for 2023, this was empty, so I thought I'm going to use this for my project panning, and I haven't even used like half of it, so it will roll on to next year, I'm sure. But basically you know, what I've done is, I know for my like Partners in Cream, for instance, I'm going to have 12 months of the year where I'm going to have to update. So I did Partners in Cream, and I wrote it all up until December. Obviously these are all blanks, we're not there yet, but I made sure I had the space, because in my previous notepad I was like, it wasn't organized like that, and I had to skip ahead and find where the pages were. So I basically at the start of the year wrote down which ones I'm going to do, like for my Shop My Stash, again, like one page is 1 month, right? Because these ones generally have a lot of items on them. And obviously if I start a new project, which I haven't done in a while, but if I start a new project, I go all the way to the end, and then I would do January, February, whatever month I start on. So I keep track of it this way, and every time I use an item, I write it down. Now this is just for makeup. I do not track skincare, hair care, body care. The only project where I am using those types of items is in my 50 Shades of Yellow/Gold with Fantastic Ladies, but I do not count how many times I use those items because I do not keep them here. And this is generally like where my makeup is, where I do my makeup. I've got my desk right here. This is like a little office/spare room, and it's kind of become my little beauty space, right? So, and my filming area, and now also my booktube area. So it is like my second room, if you will. So it's nice there. I like having it. Anyway, so I would say that's the most challenging, keeping track of everything, but also, you know, the motivation. So motivating yourself to use an item more than just once a month can be challenging. Sometimes there is an item where I used to hate pan a lot of things, and I used to just not really want to use an item that I had rolled into my project pan. And I said to myself this year, why am I doing that? Like, I should just work on items that I want to work on. Why am I trying to work on items that, yeah, they've been in my collection for a long time, but I absolutely hate them, and then neglecting all the items that I could be using that I actually enjoy, but just getting older and older. So I said to myself this year, I'm not going to hate pan. I'm just going to project pan items that I generally like. And if I roll an item into a project pan and I realize I really absolutely despise it, I'm not going to force myself to do it. The only thing that I kind of did that with, but I didn't really despise it, I just didn't like it, was the Urban Decay Hydromaniac foundation at the start of the year. I knew I didn't really like that foundation, but I'd spend the money, you know, pretty penny on that foundation. I didn't want it to go to waste, and I didn't hate it to the point where I couldn't finish it. So that was the only exception, I would say, to the rule. I'm gonna go in with my Blue Moon palette right now. I haven't really played with this since I rolled it into my Shop My Stash, and I want to, so. Yeah, I would say that is the most challenging, just staying motivated and not hate panning items. So I'm actually gonna go into this palette first. This is the Alva 2 Mini Ocean from Odin's. I'm gonna go into this shade because I was gonna go into this one, which I think is probably a nicer shade, but I'm supposed to hit pan in the shade and I haven't used it in my Panter's eyeshadows. So what better reason to use it now? Okay, so the next question is, how many project pans have you done? And do you plan on doing more? This is quite a hard question to answer. Okay, nothing's coming up. I think I'm gonna let me just put something on here just so it will show up. I'm just gonna go in my Beauty Bay eye base because I feel like I put some concealer or foundation on my eyelids, and I just don't think that that's gonna show up if I don't do something about it. First project pan that I started was my own project pan, and then I did Pan Nose eyeshadows, and then I did Partners in Cream, I think, and then I did some Fantastic Ladies ones as well. I couldn't tell you, I'd have to go back on my channel honestly to see. I can tell you how many I'm doing right now though, because I think right now I'm doing a pretty good amount and it's definitely enough for me. So I'm doing pan nose eyeshadows, I'm doing pan nap palette, I'm doing project level up, so that's 3 so far. I was doing a little side hustle eyeshadow panning project for myself, but I stopped doing that a few months ago because I realized I didn't need to do it anymore because I was a little bit overwhelmed with everything I was doing. So yeah, I stopped that in May. I just wasn't getting to the shadows, so there's no point keeping it on. I've got my project pan, so that's 4. Partners in Cream is 5. I've got my Shop My Stash, which is like a project 10 uses. So that's 6, where I want to use whatever I pull 10 times or less, depending on if it's a palette. And then I've got my Zodiac Panner, so that's 7. And then I've got my 50 Shades of Yellow / Gold, which is 8. So I'm working on 8 at the moment. They do all have monthly updates. That does sound like a lot. I didn't know it was 8. They do all have monthly updates, but I don't mind that. I feel like it's a good amount. It's keeping me busy. It's keeping me on my toes. You know what it is? I think if I didn't have these projects, I think a lot of the times I wouldn't be doing like looks like this. Like I do a lot more colorful looks because of the different shades that are rolled into different projects, and it makes it interesting for me. Like I literally could do the same neutral look every single day because that's probably what I would do on any given day if I didn't have, you know, these types of colors rolled into a project, or wasn't doing as many projects as this. I'm not sure if I like this color. And yeah, I think it helps me, and you have to be organized with it for sure or you lose track. Now, there are definitely people out there who do a lot more project pans than I do, and I don't know where they find the time to like physically put that much makeup on their face every month and actually see some progress. Because I think the problem is, maybe it was last year or the year before that, in 2021 I think, or maybe it was last year, I was just doing too many and I wasn't seeing the progress that I wanted to see, and they just weren't making me happy. So definitely this year I wanted to just focus on things that I like doing that make sense for me, but also, you know, just do something that I can actually achieve and not push myself too much to the point where I'm just not getting anything done. I plan on doing anything more. This is part of the I actually was just thinking I need to go check on the Fantastic Ladies and see the schedule for the year, because I haven't done that in a while, and there might be some coming up. There might be maybe some Halloween-y ones, which I generally don't do, but I might consider. But honestly, I don't, like, from the ones that are out there right now, I don't think there are any that I would want to join in again. I was doing the color pan from Misty last year, and I really enjoyed that. But the thing is, I don't have many ColourPop items to pan other than eyeshadow at this point. So, or I have a few Luxe glosses left, but that's about it. And I don't want to just do a project pan just to do it. So I kind of stopped doing that this year because I didn't have enough ColourPop items to pan that would make sense for me to do that project. So, you know, that's another thing. Like, if it doesn't make sense for me to do the project, I'm not going to do it. She's doing a Revolution one as well. Again, I don't have many Makeup Revolution items that I could pan. The only ones I have still are eyeshadow, I think. I don't even think I have any complexion items left. I have some skincare, but that's it. I'm not going to be rolling any, like, for my project pans, I only want to do makeup project pans unless it's the Fantastic Ladies 50 Shades of Yellow / Gold, which is the first time I'm doing it this year, and I'm actually really enjoying it, and it is allowing me to get through actually a lot of items that are non-makeup that I had in my collection. Yeah, so there is a good point to that one. And I'm glad that I joined it. Are you also doing any other projects in addition to Project Pan? I think I've been talking about everything else as well as Project Pan. I kind of have looped them all together in this video. But yeah, I am. I mean, I'm doing all of the eyeshadow projects that I mentioned. And then if we're not talking about anything to do with project panning, I mean, I do the beauty bank. I was very inspired by Alex, who does her makeup rehab, And then obviously there's a lot of other people who do beauty banks every month, and they talk about their makeup coming in and coming out and point system. And I just thought it would be fun to track that. I do like tracking things. If you've noticed, I do like to see what's going on and what I'm doing. So that's something that I started doing, but that's like a project, I guess, because I keep track of it, and I keep track of my empties, although I didn't do an empties for July. So I'm just going to do a bigger empties for August. I don't really know. I don't know. I do have another channel, which is BookTube. You know, if you want to go check that out, it has nothing to do with makeup, but that's another sort of hobby of mine. I wouldn't call it a project, it's more of a hobby because I'm reading books and I'm talking about them. That's all it is. So next question is, do you limit your spending, or do you go on a no-buy during project planning? So I think I'm conscious about the money I spend for the most part. I do not put a limit, like an actual physical limit of how much I can buy every month for beauty and makeup and all of that. I do think I was spending a lot more about a year ago, or maybe even a few months ago. I don't think I've been spending as much recently. That is more to do with my preference and how I'm feeling at the moment when it comes to makeup. I've been really enjoying just what I have. I'm not really seeing that many items where I want to buy anything new. And I kind of have, without really being explicit about it, I kind of just told myself I don't really need to buy anything. So I just haven't really been buying anything recently that I would think is a lot. You know, I've been buying the odd thing here and there if I like it, and I would get the Gloss Gods new palettes, but they are sold out right now, so that is a shame. So I'm technically on a low buy / no buy, but you know, it's like one of those that is only because there's really nothing for me to buy at this point. I'm sure that when we get into September, October time, there's going to be a lot of releases that I'm going to want to get. I know Huda Beauty always comes out with a new palette around that time. I didn't get their palette from last year, and I'm just curious to know what they released this year. I do like their quality, I like their bigger palettes, so if it's a color story that I like, most likely I will end up getting it. I just didn't get the one last year because I just thought it was too warm toned, and at the time I just had too much that was warm toned. Okay, next question is, who are your favorite project planners to watch? I think there's a few. Like, I go through cycles, right? Sometimes I will just binge somebody's channel all the time, and then I don't, and then I watch someone else, and I do go through cycles. Like, I don't unsubscribe to people or anything like that unless they do something atrocious and I just can't stand them, but that generally doesn't happen with project planning things. I just go through cycles when I'm not as interested in watching it as some other times, or I'm just interested in seeing one person over another. So this will be just based on what I'm looking at the moment. I would say Alexandra Lizette. I watch the majority of her videos. I watched the majority of Misty's videos. I watched the majority of Caitlin Costella's videos. It's Just Steph. And I think there's a few others as well where they might just do like eyeshadow. Like you've got Sophie Alexandra as well, who does a lot of project planning, and I watched a lot of her videos as well. And I think it just depends on what I see on my feed. I don't, you know, always see everything because I'm not always looking, and I don't always watch project plan videos. So it is a preference thing, I guess, because I don't always feel like watching it, you know what I mean? Sometimes if I'm doing so much with my channel with project planning or beauty or anything to do with that, I kind of don't want to look into it. But then other times when I feel like, oh, I want to catch up, want to look into it, I want to be watching people's makeup collections, or if they hit pan on that item, and I would just binge it. Like, I'm just that type of person. It's not an everyday thing. I think it used to be, but I think I've been spreading my interests a little bit more, and I think it's been better for me as well, so I'm not honed in on just one thing. So I don't know, I think it's better for me if I just enjoy it at a time and not every single time. So those are just a few that I can spit out right now. but yeah, there's a lot. There are a lot, and there's a lot of there's people who do a lot of projects that I'm not all that interested in, but I will open the video and sometimes watch it just to support. I don't comment on every single video because I just don't, literally. I just don't. I feel like I should, because it's always nice for people to get comments, but sometimes, you know, you just have other things to do and you have it in the background, and then it goes on to the next video and you're like, am I really going to go back and write something? No. So that's something that happens with me. But yeah, those are the few that I would say are, if I see their video, I'm most likely going to click on it. So the next question is, what is your #1 tip for a successful project pan? Well, I would say, I've already said it, but I would say don't hate pan. You've got to be organized with what you're panning so you don't forget as well. And make sure that it's, you know, you're doing it for yourself and not for anyone else. If you see no pleasure in project panning or hitting pan in an item or finishing an item, I would say don't do it, because like, why would you do it? Just do it if you find pleasure and interest in it. I, you know, didn't even know anything about project panning until I stumbled upon those first few videos from Sarah Rose, and I was like, oh my gosh, I want to do this. This looks fun. And there was just something that triggered in my mind to say, this is something that you should do, that you want to do, that is fun for you. And yeah, I'm still doing it 3 years later, more than 3 years later, and so there must be something to it. Those would be my main ones to focus on. Just like, make sure it's fun for you, keep it organized so you can keep track on what you're doing. Don't do too much all at once, especially if you're just starting out. Just do the basics. Just do one project pan or one eyeshadow, you know, project pan, and see if you like it. And I would say with eyeshadow panning projects, those ones are trickier, because then you really have to, like, you know, if you've got, let's say, pan those eyeshadows and you've got a bunch of shades you do not like, I would say change your color story. Don't like be a stickler to the rules and stuff and like be like, oh, I can't do that because it's against the rules. Just do what makes you happy. And if you need to manipulate the rules to make yourself happy, it's not cheating. You're literally just playing with makeup at the end of the day, and you're using the items that you like. So if you need to make up your own rules, just do it, because if that makes you happier, then that you need to do it, basically. The next question is, what is your goal for your makeup? What is it? Makeup collection through project panning. So my goal is just to manage it, I guess. I'm not trying to reduce my makeup collection to become a minimalist or anything like that. Honestly, I don't really care if my makeup collection grows and I don't finish any items. But because I get pleasure from finishing items and project panning, that's why I continue to do it. So it's just one of those things where I don't really have a plan for my collection. If my collection grows, it grows. If it shrinks, it shrinks. I just am kind of going with the flow. I'm seeing what I like and what works for me. And if I suddenly feel like I need to buy a lot of stuff to make myself happy, then I'm going to do it. I'm going to go in with the Dancing in the Sky from Gloss Gods. I feel like there is a shade in here that I could absolutely use for this look. I feel like I have to, right? So I don't know which one it would be, but I feel like there has to be some sort of shade. I feel like actually putting this in my inner corner and having a little bit of green. Let me just see what that looks like. I think I've always wanted to have a collection that's more curated and full of items that I love. So that's something that I'm constantly working on, but it's not something that has to happen. It's just, I would say if I did have a goal, that would be one of the goals, and it has been my goal for a while now, and I think that's probably why I'm not buying ridiculous amounts of makeup anymore, because I know personally I don't need to, right? So I don't know, I think I am consciously not buying certain things or releases because I can see what I have and if I don't need it, then I'm not gonna go out and get it. So that's one of the things that I have been, I don't know, thinking about really. But yeah, other than that, I don't mind if it grows. I just don't want it to grow to an obscene amount where I can't function and I feel overwhelmed and I feel disgusted that I have so many items. But I don't think I'm at that point yet, and I don't think I will be getting to that point. So I think it's all good. Just remembered I'm trying to work on this shade Munasa, which is this white one here. I'm going to try to put that because I do want to lighten this ever so slightly, and I tried to lighten it with the Lumi shade from the Blue Moon, but I don't know. Actually, this is probably just doing the exact same thing as Lumi. It's not really doing that much. There might be something in the Midnight. I keep going into this, but I have used the lighter ones. I've already gone into this one a few times and this one a couple times, and it's really just a light shade that I want, and these are all pretty dark. I could go into the dark one again, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what to do. I kind of just want something a little bit lighter. I do have this one. This is from She Glam, and there is a shade in here that I'm trying to hit pan on. I might put this down here. There is one shade in the Alva which I'm working on, and I just realized that kind of has a sparkle. I feel like I need to have a little sparkle. The thing is sparkling, and I want a sparkle. So the last question is, tag anyone that you would like to see do this. So I will tag some people. Obviously, if you don't do it, my feelings are not going to be hurt, but if you do, that would be fun. And yeah, that is it. I actually just hit pan the shade, woohoo, which is really exciting, but yeah, I'm not going to show you. So yeah, that is it. I did end up just finishing up before I put that last bit on. This is this is a fun makeup look. I never usually do fun makeup looks in Get Ready With Me's, so yeah, this is nice and colorful. Anyway, thank you so much for Dub's Beauty Diary to tag me. You are lovely, a lovely person, always commenting on a lot of my Thai videos, and I know you like these, and yeah, I'm really enjoying what you're doing. So thank you so much for tagging me, and now I've done it, and thank you so much to everyone else who has watched the video. And yeah, if you watched this far, put like a blue heart or something blue. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you would like to. I hope that you do, and I will see you all next time. Bye.